Rain lashed against the wooden shack, each drop like tiny silver daggers piercing the dark night. Inside, the small Omega, Leora, moved quietly, her hands trembling as she carried a bowl of steaming stew. The dim light from the single lantern flickered across her soft features, highlighting the worry etched deep in her eyes. Outside, a weak whimper echoed through the woods. A boy, no older than 10, shivering and soaked to the bone, crouched beneath a tree. Leora froze for a moment. Her heart ached, but fear whispered that strangers could be dangerous. Yet something inside her demanded she act. She opened the door, letting the cold wind brush against her face, and called softly, "Are you hungry?" The boy's eyes widened, a mixture of shock and hope, as he slowly approached. She offered him the bowl. The boy ate greedily, shoving spoonfuls into his mouth, and she couldn't help but smile at the innocence still clinging to him. I'm called Kale," he stammered between bites. "I'm Leora," she replied, her voice gentle. "Stay safe, you shouldn't wander alone at night." Little did she know that one act of kindness, feeding a starving boy in the rain, was sowing the seeds of fate that would shape the next 18 years of her life. Days turned into weeks, and Kale returned to Leora's small home whenever hunger gnawed at him. She never asked questions, never demanded explanations. To her, he was just a boy who needed care, and care was all she could give. But in the shadows, the forest whispered of a destiny waiting to unfold. The alpha kings of the northern packs had long been seeking someone worthy, someone who could bridge rivalries, and Kale's lineage was more than anyone could guess. Cinematic scene: the storm of separation one fateful night. A pack of rogue werewolves attacked the outskirts of Leora's village. Howls pierced the air, claws scraping trees, and firelight danced across the walls. Kale tried to flee into the woods, but the chaos separated them. Leora searched desperately, calling his name into the roaring storm, but when dawn came, he was gone. Years passed. Leora, now older, had grown stronger, more resilient, her Omega nature tempered by life's hardships. Yet the memory of the starving boy she once fed haunted her dreams. Sometimes she swore she could hear his laugh in the wind, feel his presence in the rustle of leaves. Meanwhile, Kale's journey had been anything but ordinary. Rescued by a secretive pack from the mountains, trained in combat, politics, and the ancient ways of the Alpha, he rose quickly through the ranks. By his 18th year, Kale had become the Alpha King, the most feared and respected leader in the Northern Territories. But despite power, wealth, and respect, Kale's mind returned, again and again, to the girl who fed a starving boy on a rainy night. Her kindness had shaped him, and now, 18 years later, destiny would demand he find her again. Next part teaser: Kale returns to Leora's village, disguised and observing from the shadows. Will she recognize the Alpha King who once was a starving boy? And how will their reunion unfold under the gaze of an entire pack, watching silently? The village had not changed much, cobblestone paths slick from rain, smoke curling lazily from chimneys, and the familiar scent of wet earth and pine filling the air. Leora, now a young woman with a quiet strength in her eyes, moved through the marketplace, unaware that destiny was drawing near. A hush fell over the crowd when he entered. Tall, commanding, his presence radiated power that made even the bravest villagers instinctively step aside. Kale, now the Alpha King, scanned the square. His dark hair clung to his forehead from the rain, his piercing amber eyes searching until they found her. Leora, time seemed to freeze. Memories of a stormy night, a small boy with hungry eyes, a bowl of stew shared in silence, all came rushing back. Her heart pounded violently, but she forced herself to remain composed. Kale stepped forward, each movement deliberate, every muscle taut with restrained power. The villagers whispered. None dared approach. "Leora," he said, his voice low, deep, and unyielding, carrying the weight of 18 years of longing and destiny. She froze, her breath catching. Kale. The name felt strange, delicate on her tongue after so long. "Yes, it's me," he replied, his amber gaze locking onto hers. "Do you remember the boy you fed in the storm?" Her throat tightened. I remember." The moment stretched between them, charged with unspoken emotion. Kale stepped closer, and the air seemed to thrum around him. An aura of authority mixed with something softer, something painfully familiar. Cinematic scene. Recognition and tension, the villagers began to murmur, sensing a storm of their own brewing. Kale's senses sharpened. He could feel her fear, her surprise, the lingering curiosity in her heartbeat. Leora's eyes searched his face, slowly connecting the dots between the boy she once knew and the powerful alpha standing before her. You've grown," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, tinged with awe and something else she couldn't name. "And you," Kale said, stepping closer until he could see every line of her face, "you're still the kindest Omega I've ever known." Her breath hitched. "Kind, that's all I ever did." He shook his head, a small, almost imperceptible smile touching his lips. "No, you saved me, and I never forgot it. Not once." Kale reached out a hand, not threatening, but commanding attention nonetheless. Leora hesitated for a heartbeat before placing her hand in his. Sparks of heat and recognition ignited between them, and the world around them seemed to blur. Foreshadowing the Alpha's claim, but their reunion would not go unnoticed. Rival packs had long envied Kale's rise, and seeing the Alpha in the village could spark conflict. Eyes followed them from the shadows, measuring, plotting, and waiting for the right moment to strike. Kale's hand remained firmly over Leora's. "I've come for you," he whispered. "You saved a boy once, now I'm coming to claim my Omega." Her heart raced. Fear mingled with anticipation. She had dreamed of this moment in fragments, but reality, this powerful, commanding Alpha standing before her, was more intense than any dream. Next part teaser. Kale declares his intentions publicly, creating shockwaves through the village. Leora must grapple with her feelings and the looming danger from rival packs. The tension between duty, desire, and destiny escalates as their bond begins to ignite. The village square fell silent as Kale's declaration cut through the murmurs like a blade. "Leora is mine," he said, his voice booming with authority that made even the bravest villagers tremble. "I am Kale, Alpha King of the Northern Packs, and she will be my mate." Shock rippled through the crowd. Whispers of awe, fear, and envy spread like wildfire. Leora's heart raced, a wild mix of fear, disbelief, and something far deeper, an undeniable pull toward the man who had haunted her dreams for 18 years. Kale stepped closer, his amber eyes fixed on hers, unflinching. Every movement radiated power and dominance, yet beneath it lay a tenderness reserved only for her. You can't just," a villager started, but Kale's gaze swept across the crowd and the air seemed to shiver. No one dared speak further. "Silence," Kale commanded, his voice low and lethal. "She has always been mine. Fate brought us together once, and it has returned me to her." Cinematic scene. First intimate moment, Leora's knees threatened to buckle as Kale's hand brushed her cheek, warm and firm. His touch was commanding, yet gentle, sending a shiver down her spine. She looked up into his face, searching for something familiar, something safe, and found it. "Kale, she began, but words failed her. He leaned closer until their foreheads touched. "You fed a starving boy once," he whispered, his breath brushing her lips. "Now that boy has become your Alpha. I will protect you, care for you, and claim you as my mate, if you'll let me." Tears pricked at her eyes, a mixture of joy, disbelief, and the raw intensity of emotions she had buried for years. She nodded, unable to speak, and in that silent agreement, a bond formed that was stronger than blood, stronger than fear. Foreshadowing, shadows of danger even as their connection deepened. Kale's senses detected movement in the surrounding woods. Rival packs had been monitoring him, waiting for a moment of vulnerability. Leora, standing beside him, could feel the tension, the electricity in the air. She realized that being the mate of an Alpha King meant danger, politics, and power struggles, but also passion, protection, and an unbreakable bond. Kale pressed a gentle kiss to her temple, claiming her in the oldest, most intimate way of the Alpha, silent, undeniable, eternal. The villagers watched, some in awe, some in fear, but none could deny the force of destiny unfolding before them. Teaser for Part 4. The bond between Kale and Leora grows stronger, but rival packs are closing in. Secrets from Kale's past and Leora's own hidden strength will come to light. Their love, passion, and courage will be tested as danger encroaches, and the Alpha's protective instincts ignite.